Yes, guys, we're back. How is everybody doing? Wesley is our new signing. Here we go this morning. He will fly to Rome in these next couple of hours and he will be starting from, I guess, the next few days, our new right back. And I am very proud to say that after maybe years of not having a right back, am I saying a blasphemy when saying this? Maybe we have a right back which can start changing our games, something that we've massively lacked in these couple of seasons, ever since, you know, ever since even during Mourinho's era, we never really had, a right back that can win you games and grab you points in an easy way. So this is of course the objective when looking at him. This is what we want. Of course, I'm not in a position to say that he is going to be the right back that we need because I've never seen him play. I read comments. I read, people in Brazil describing him as a player, and they are describing him in a very good way. But of course, it's very different. He's played in Brazil for his entire career. South American football, European football, it's very different. Pressure, jump, and everything. So we've got a lot to speak about today. First of all, how's everybody doing? I know, I'm a bit inconsistent these days, but don't mind me. It is my summer holidays, and I'm basically never in Rome. So give me a life update. How's everybody doing? Let me know your thoughts on the deal in the live chat. If you've got questions, pop them in the chat. We'll go through them in a second. Proper Roots says, finally, I'm convinced we're getting Paixão next. And yeah, right, we've got a few things to speak about because we're very active in the transfer session, guys. We're very active. Of course, we bought El Ainaoui. Of course, we bought Ferguson, who scored 4 goals in yesterday's friendly game. We bought Wesley. We're very close in buying Ghilardi from Verona. Today, the Paixão rumours, the Antonio Nusa rumours came out. It's a very active phase of the transfer session, and let's enjoy it. We've got a friendly game coming tomorrow, so match reaction tomorrow. I didn't do a match reaction for these previous friendly games because they were pointless friendly games. The quality gap was too big. Tomorrow's quality gap will be big too. We will win. But it's more of a serious one because we're flying to Germany and everything. So we'll do a match reaction tomorrow. And of course, we'll keep updated if we've got any rumours and updates, transfer updates in these next few hours. If we can get 100 likes, it would be great, by the way. 100 likes and Wesley will rock it as our new right back. Let's speak about him. Because I think this signing is, as I usually use this term when describing the majority of signings, and I don't want to sound repetitive, but I think this signing is a hit and miss. Hit or a miss. Because from what I've gathered, from the information that I've seen, Brazilian fans describing and everything, he's a very energetic right back. Very fast, very agile, very good when it comes to dribbling, of course, like every, what's it called? Jogo Bonito Brazilian player. But I always kind of flash back and go, we've had some very good Brazilian right backs. I wasn't born, but, Cafu, of course. But even in recent times, Maicon. It was ages ago still, but he was a solid right back. Of course, his peak wasn't in Rome. It was in Milan with Mourinho winning the treble. But, Maicon was a very good right back. But we've also had some very bad Brazilian right backs. So I'm like, what path will he take? I'm not, of course, saying he's the new Cafu. I would never say that even if I've never seen Cafu play. Because he's not going to be the new Cafu. You got to be realistic. It's an interesting signing, and I'm happy about this. In fact, I am very happy about this because this, out of all the players that we've been linked with from the start of the transfer session, maybe even before to now, I know as a matter of fact that this is the signing and the player that Gasperini, wanted the most. He has been wanting this guy ever since He won that Europa League with Atalanta 2 seasons ago. In that summer, he was like, bring me Wesley, we need Wesley. Then they ended up signing Bellanova. But he is somebody that Gasperini has always pushed to have, which suggests to me that we have accomplished his right back dream. Because he's very interested in this guy, has always been very interested in this guy. And if he really wanted him, I'm happy that we got him. I can't really... Look, I don't want to give a judgment on the player because it's not fair. It's simply not fair. You know, I've already seen some comments go, he's the next Cafu, and I've already seen some comments go, he's the next Bruno Perez. You can have opinions, of course, you can read what other people think about him and make your own opinion. But if you've never seen him play, you don't know if he's going to be the next Bruno Perez, if he's going to be a terrible player, or if he's going to be the next world-class champion. You simply don't know. And this is the hazard with players that you've never seen play before. And he is one of them. You've never seen him play. Like the Moroccan guy that we signed last week. You know, El Ainaoui. You've never seen him play. You cannot build a judgment around him, on him. You can't call him a terrible player. You can't. Because you've never seen him play. Unless you're Brazilian, unless you're a Flamengo fan watching this, or unless you're a passionate, who watches the Brazilian league. So I would advise to everyone watching this, including me, don't come up with judgments on the player now. I can give judgments on the investment. The investment is an investment, is an important investment. 25 million plus 5 million add-ons. It's kind of the average amount of money that I expect Roma to spend for the positions that they need. It's not little money. If you're Roma, it's not. If you're tackled by FFP, 25 million plus 5 is not a little amount of money. It's not the biggest investment over history, but it's still 30 million. So, I'm very curious to see him. I'm very curious to what he can bring. And what I want that he brings is energy, speed, and contributions. Crosses, long through, what a right back that we haven't seen do for the past 3 years will finally do. Cross the ball well, now that we've got two physical strikers like Dovbyk and Ferguson. And I just want to see a train, run, speed, energy, great touch, good technique. That's the right back I want to see, because we've been lacking that vision of a right back for quite a long while now. What do you think so far of the signings, says Angel? I was expecting these kind of signings. I said this before, even when the first Gasperini rumours came out. We were going to see a lot of players that we've never seen before sign for us. Because Gasperini is not about box office names. Gasperini is not about bring me that guy who earns 20 million a year. No. Gasperini is about, these little players that the fans have never heard of, but then turning them into very interesting players. So this pattern I was expecting. I am very intrigued by Ferguson. I did share a few words on him and on the signing last week. But I'm very interested in Ferguson and I'm very intrigued by Ferguson. First of all, I'm intrigued by the investment because it's a loan, but with an option to buy at 40 million. But it's an option to buy at 40 million. It's not an obligation to buy. So I'm like, it's a very good deal because if he flops, you don't need to pay the 40 million, which is a lot of money. But if he does explode, then you kind of expect to sign a good striker for that amount of money either way, especially if he's coming from the Premier League. So I'm very intrigued and very well done, I must say, to Masada, because I think the way he set out the Ferguson deal, negotiation and investment is very interesting and very good, because it doesn't massively kind of persuade us and hurry us to spend the 40 million even if he flops. But you can have a choice. You can see him and you can study him and you can see what he gives you this season in order to make that decision at the end. And the other reason I'm very intrigued by him is because I think if he has a very good preseason and he started the preseason off with a bang, I know it was against, basically I'm not gonna. I'm not going to call the team that we played against yesterday a terrible team, because you can't call them a terrible team. They're not even in the Serie D, I think. But of course, you can't test the level of our players against those teams. That's what I'm saying. But he did score 4 goals in yesterday's friendly game. I'm intrigued because I think if he does have a good preseason, I think he's your number 1 striker. That's the curiosity and the intrigue that I have. And it's not even me questioning this. I think this is a statement. If Gasperini sees that Ferguson has a better preseason than Dovbyk, Ferguson starts as your number 1 striker 100%. Because I think out of the two, he suits Gasperini football way more, because he's way more technical than Dovbyk. So much of it depends on how much he adapts. You know, friendly games like tomorrow's friendly game, which are against teams of a bit of a higher level, or friendly games against Villa, Everton, the ones that we were playing a bit, those are the real tests for both our strikers. Dovbyk now knows that he needs to lock in, because if he doesn't lock in, Ferguson comes on. And Ferguson has got, if fit, Ferguson has got the ability to bench Dovbyk. So, no disrespect to Shmirodov, and Shmirodov had a great last few months last season, scored every time, but Shmirodov never had the capacity to dethrone Dovbyk because of the importance of moments in football games, okay? Ferguson can, which is why it needs to ignite a spark in Dovbyk to play better and, lock in more, because otherwise Ferguson starts. So I'm very intrigued by it. And I'm also very intrigued by Ghilardi, which is not a here we go yet, but it's a done deal basically. Very interesting, because he's a very interesting prospect. I've been following him in the under 21 Euros this summer with Verona last season. Very interesting. Very, 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 very interesting young talent. And I think with a manager like Gasperini, he can absolutely explode. That's basically my comments on our current transfer situation. I'm going to share a few words on what I expect next, because we have covered a lot of positions. We were a bit delayed, and this is one thing that I want to say that I forgot to mention last week after our first friendly game, the one that we won 12-0, I think it was, against Trastevere. I was listening to Gasperini's words, and the first thing Gasperini said post-interview in that friendly game was, "I'm worried, we're delayed in the transfer session, we need to hurry up." The week after he says this, Roma signed 3 players. Ferguson, Wesley, and basically Ghilardi. Now this puts to practice the importance of a manager who makes himself loud. And this is, unfortunately, not because he's not good, but because he's not experienced, the problem that we had last season with De Rossi. De Rossi, being an inexperienced manager and being seen as, I know myself that I'm inexperienced, and I know that the reason I am the manager of Roma is because Mourinho got sacked, because they needed somebody to, protect the fans and protect the environment from protests and everything. But I also know that I'm here not because I deserve it, but because of the person I am. And I know that I got that contract extension because I did very well in the 3 months. So last summer with De Rossi, you had a manager who was like, the reason I'm here is magical for me. I'm an inexperienced manager who is coaching after basically 1 year of coaching experience, the club of my dreams. So you could have never expected De Rossi last summer to go, I need him. You have to hurry up. I need him, because we're delayed and I need players. Because he wasn't in a position to do so. He simply wasn't, in terms of status, in a position to put pressure on a board which gave him the the chance of his life, to be the manager of the team of his love, of his life, of the made him the player he is, and the human he is now. The difference in having a manager, an experienced manager like Gasperini or like Mourinho. Remember, Mourinho used to do this every time. Mourinho used to do this even with a lot of irony, with Instagram posts. You know, remember the famous Instagram post of the team with Mourinho around during preseason, all hugging around, and then a gap in the middle, and then his caption going something like, it was a direct message going, buy me a player. You know, there's a hole in the team. I'm gonna make it visible. I'm gonna ironize everything. You know, sign me up. But that's because Mourinho was a genius in doing that. But you know, how many times in press conferences did we see Mourinho go, kind of, not clash, but put pressure on the board? Gasperini, after that friendly game, went, we're delayed, I'm worried, we need signings. In the next 6 days, we got 3 signings done. So the importance of an experienced manager is also this, is the ability to get the best out of the player, out of the people that work around you as well, to ultimately create the team that you want to create. Speaking about players that we need now, we need. I was reading some articles, maybe not even reliable, going that we need another striker. Personally, we don't need another striker. I would not spend money on another striker. I would spend money on a left winger. On a left winger that, yes, maybe in some formations and systems, you can also put as a two-man striker. Somebody like Paixão, somebody like Antonio Nusa. The rumours came out today from England. It would be an absolute dream. That is the signing we need. You know what we need? Mati Soulé, but on the other side. That's what we need now. The next target, in my opinion, needs to be that. A Mati Soulé type player, young, agile, good investment, long-term investment, but on the other side of the pitch. Antonio Nusa from Leipzig, 30 million, yes, but it would be very good, some very good 30 million. Paixão, 30 million, very good 30 million. These are some very good 30 millions if you want to spend them. I will even put Laurienté, whose deal collapsed with Sunderland. Yes, okay, Laurienté is the cheap version if you don't have money. But somebody like Nusa, somebody like Paixão, we're building a very good team if you do that. Very good team. So, and remember that these are all players that Gasperini loves to work with and turn into absolute beasts. And if I'm one of these players, I'm like, I want to go to Gasperini because Gasperini will transform me. Nusa would be a dream. I want Nusa more than Paixão. Nusa would be very, very, very good. But Paixão would be unbelievable as well. And then the other position that we need is another midfielder. Another midfielder, yes. I know that I was saying last week that ideally Rios and El Ainaoui, but realistically speaking, the two together would never have arrived because of the amount of money. We don't necessarily need a starting midfielder, but we need somebody who, as always, can put pressure on these players and potentially start playing games. Ideally, I would say ideally a number 5. Ideally another Paredes. Because El Ainaoui is defensive, yes, but he scores a lot, so it means he plays quite far up. Kone is a mix of kind of a 5 and an 8. I still think we need a Paredes replacement. I know that it's El Ainaoui, I know he can do that, but 2 is better than 1. And ideally, you know what? Somebody with a big attitude and charisma. Somebody to replace Paredes, exactly like that. Somebody who starts fights in derbies, that's what we need. And then if we sign Gilardi, we don't need another centre-back, even though Ndika goes to AFCON, so technically you need another one. But yeah, look, next objective for me is another midfielder and a left winger. Then, in a bit, you can go for another defender, adding to Gilardi, who is a very good investment, but it's not an expensive one. So you can get somebody else for 15 million. So yeah, that's. But this just shows you that if you spend money well, then you can navigate around FFP. The problem is FFP will haunt you if you spend the money badly. That's the issue. Can we get Raspadori? I don't want Raspadori. I don't want Raspadori because in that position, I have a vision of somebody with different characteristics than Raspadori. Somebody with more speed than Raspadori and somebody who dribbles more than Raspadori. Raspadori is more of a second striker in the way I see him. I want a real core left winger as our next signing. So yeah, I would not take Raspadori. It's 3 million loan fee plus 37 for Ferguson. Thank you very much. Do you take Raspadori? No, it's the way he scored. You're absolutely correct. And he played with De Zerbi. He knows the strategy. Ferguson will bench Dovbyk, says Dave. Am I the only one who's worried about not hearing much from Sule from these friendlies? No, I think Sule, I've always said this. I said this last season. Sule will have his breakthrough season this year. I can feel it in the air. But yeah, we've got another friendly game tomorrow and we can see it. They are showing it on DAZN. So I'm going to do a match reaction tomorrow for it. Match reactions will be back. So if you're excited, make sure to come back tomorrow. We need a left winger badly. We really need that left winger. What formation are we using by looking at Roma's squad right now? 3-4-2-1 is what Gasperini uses. Paixão is a good. Remember him playing against Roma. Yeah, and he always scored against us. So yes, I remember him. Unfortunately, Paixão gave me one of the biggest nightmares of recent Roman history when going to the stadium. Because that crazy game against Feyenoord when Dybala scored that incredible goal, like crawling on the floor, which then brought it to added time. No, sorry, not added time, extra time. You know that game, that special Feyenoord game, which then, it's the season we got to the Europa League final. Paixão kind of scored that killer goal, 88th minute, 1-1. Feyenoord had won 1-0 at home, so Feyenoord were basically through. And then Dybala decided to score that crazy goal and bring us to extra time where we won. But Paixão, I still remember this as if it's yesterday. When the ball went in, when Paixão scored that goal, 88th minute, I've never heard the Olympico go more quiet than that. It was actually scary. Then, of course, we sent Feyenoord back where they belong. But that Paixão moment was scary. I never heard the stadium so quiet. You know when it's like everyone's cheering, we're gonna go through, then the ball goes in and everyone goes. It was actually incredible. In a bad way. Right, guys, I'm gonna catch you tomorrow. Hit the like, subscribe to the channel, 100 likes and it would be great. Let me know your thoughts on everything. Gilardi, Wesley, El Ainaoui, Ferguson. Friendly game tomorrow in Germany against Kaiserslautern. I'm sorry if I botched it. But yeah, match reaction tomorrow. Hit the like, subscribe. And also follow Roma Theory on TikTok. I'll see you there. Simo out.